Yesterday I was commenting about the Star Rock idea, a movie, theatrical, historical, um, novel experience, which is actually to say that that's kind of what we all are having, and bringing it up to present day with the same point of view that the New Ages, which is the new in the true reality life is, that is, there is no time factor and or space dimension. So that's a interesting context, of course, that is part of this real awareness. So I presented it with this long story, short story, both, which is about the planet's originality, the star rock Earth, or this dimensional experience here, and how we were engaged, and also well, I'm going to jump away from that one. It has something to do with just we were obfuscated, let's say, into being born into lifetimes of experience as souls, I guess the idea, and in the solar Earth, which is a world made of the solar vibration and all the planets, that whole history of what happened. But sometime long ago, we had been given the opportunity, or rather I should say, in the origin, we were already part of everything already, and always at will, and have been. And as such, that's not a prerequisite for anything following, but is an acquiring, let's say, of the true reality that we're part of. Okay. So the story happens that there's an extinction event, and that we had been part of all and everything, and unified in the vibrational frequencies or whatever other forms of totality that we could be part of and experience, as we do individually, always. Yet what happened was, by these so-called cosmic events, we were recreated. Let's say there was a destruction of most life and planets and beings, or rather not planets, but beings and plants and whatever forms that were existing that we were also of. But what I'm saying really is that the cycle of lifetimes had begun by this whatever happened at the star rock crash on the planet and extinction experience, to be generated into the cycle of lifetimes and so forth, leading up to some of the current episodes or epochs, they call, or eras, and here we are. But sometime along the line from when that began till now, there was also some other events, such as a alienation, and this reincarnations, and the Lemurian, Atlantean, and all of that historical eras, epochs, etc., that we became part of, and then went through the lifetimes of experience, and then uh, rebirth, death, rebirth, and forgetfulness, and coming to this current time. I found this in, let's say, I'm experiencing it personally. Let's in that sense, or also humanistically, and I'd say I'd call it spiritually, to become aware again, or to continue that uh, um, waking up, and uh, trying to use the words here as efficiently as possible. And so, let's say about 2,000 years ago, there was the Christ era, and before that, there's Egyptian and Sumerian in the Middle East, and area of the world that we now recognize it as, and so forth and so on, and the Mayan and all of those civilizationary experiences, which I think I was part of all of them, and that led me to, yes, what's going on now, why am I here, and what is this purpose is, and what are we sharing with the new, and that whole new wave that can be identified, or at least accepted at some level as viability. That evidently takes a great deal to get to. A huge amount of lifetimes, but not just that, in this lifetime, going through various, I'll call the obfuscations, education process, the patriotisms of nationality, sex, race, and other cultural or social, political, business, religion, and science conflagrations or conducts, if we will, that we are also finding are not really any kind of key. Currently, the technology being the most prevalent, I guess you could say, is the adventure to discover what is, and or to not be affectations of that, which are so prominent. And we're seeing that in the current media boondoggle and mind hypnotism adverts system, using this controlled modules so very effectively. Okay, so we come up to full presence, and I decided to pick up some of these reference factors from different eras and times and movements, such as, let's say, the 60s, or the, I lost that train of thought on that one, but to coordinate ourselves in whatever perspectives that we have gathered or held on to from the past lives, and they bring us to this point. I did it with, as I was saying, the Star Rock story idea, which was to use, let's say, the rock musician and countercultural movements, and those that were recognizing the government biz social domination model. That is, not to use it myself, but to identify and recognize it. At the same time, requires some form of being able to use the utilities like we're using the technology here. and to do this in a way that is not conductive of the, let's say, being a channel of all those other elements, past elements or current system elements, because that's not the objective at all. And in fact, that's the difficulty and challenge framework that's always apparent and increasing, seems like. But just to put it in perspective, it's always been that way. And at the same time, this has always been here. And that is interesting to put into a togetherness, in a sense, which is really seeing it as a whole. That's a challenge to us writing our stories and sharing the visions, or our own visions and presences. That's what I'm got in front of me. And every day I get this at some framework, and finishing or continuing the story with a very short story has something to do with, a couple of things I'm trying to do, which is simple things, like getting a car fully repaired, or getting people to participate in some form. And so I've got had something that happened with that. It's very simple. This person I met is a very good mechanic, and I had some experiences with him repairing a car, and he has difficulties. He's got very extensive health issues, and he was shot in the head. Crazy people around these parts, and I guess, I'm thinking actually most of the people are crazy, and they're under a spell or a curse, a hypnagogic condition that they don't recognize or don't fully recognize, although there's an expansion of that recognition occurring currently, and very obvious. I think in another form I could say it's a kind of autism is being created in all of the people. That autism, I kind of said, those are letters in the autism, AI, and universal system of trance or technology, T, so-called universalism with the letter U, but it's funny because it's really not. It might be something that has a more universal respects to it, that include the aliens and such as that, but also just within the framework of humanity, human autism, AUTISM, and the M standing for manipulation, or like that. Now, I'm sharing it that way because one of the forms of this mental and alienation is has been done by the Orions and the Queen and Enki and what's his name? Her name, the other one.
And Neil, yeah.
And I'm experiencing that really directly in myself, and I'm seeing how these coded language, the English and the letters and the numbers and all that, and how it is inculcated through that. At the same time, I'm trying to deliver that system, but it's an interesting form to demonstrate what we're talking about, and also how we, Dwayne, an example of using these terms and a way of writing with the capitals, as an example, all is, uh, which I could use in a coded phrase of Allah and Christ. I also thought of Enlil and Enki related as, and the Queen, who is also in the Orion constellation. You see, the head of the constellation, the northern star, is Betelgeuse or Betelgeuse, which is uh, as demonstrated in the movie Beetlejuice. And it's fun movie about that, witchcraft, warlock, um, and friends, um, creating magic, something like, that goes back to Camelot and Alice in Wonderland and all of these other stories that are relating this historical objectivity. It's, the thunder is starting to come in. That doesn't surprise me. So this last couple of days, I hope I didn't jump ahead too fast, but there's I took my friend yesterday. I wanted him the last couple of days. I had an opportunity to wanted him to do something for me, but he didn't get most of it done. 2 things I asked for. And so I went to take him to the doctor, and I took him to 2 different places, one for the blood test and the other it wasn't a doctor, but it was a therapy thing that he's doing because he can't get work, partially because he sprained his back, and then he also has his mental challenges, etc., and other challenges too. He's got the whole kit and caboodle, really. Any case, so what happened, I took him there, and then we went to the golf course because that's nearby, and it turned out to be really nice. And it was fantastic out there, and there was not a soul on the golf course except for him and I. And he walked with me, even though he's got a bad back. He can still walk, he's got a constant pain there, I guess. And no need for details except for what happened. Yes, I played exceptionally well, especially near the end. And all the time that we were on the course, we talked, and I told him about what you knew and what's going on, and he's got an interest in the health and the alienation and all the rest of that. So I invited him to Skypes and to do New You, et cetera, et cetera. And it was like discoursing to him, in that sense, trying to give it to him as much as I could. People are really hard-headed, and they have a hard time really listening. And in this case, literally, he had trouble with listening, hearing, and then he told me that about 3 days ago, he cleared his ears out. He went to the one thing he got out of the. I'd taken him to a doctor on another day. I've done this one time before, and that doctor cleared out his ears, and he said, "Wow, I can really hear again." Hello, wake up and check yourself out, find out what's in your way, and what are you doing, and make better choices. So it's it's amazing what it takes. So, you probably need about 300 days of that before you go, well, yeah, maybe. Um, and that was kind of that experience with that. Uh, and that, way of sharing, and the coordination of things and elements of things. That's it on that, I think. I just want to see if there's any postscript. There is something's been happening. There is a relation with everything that's going on, and in a number of areas, but in particular, yesterday, I don't know if you're aware of it. I'm sure Ronald is. That in the United States and globally, there was a Microsoft software reboot gone wrong, and systems around the world were affected. Planes, huge numbers of planes were put on hold, or and all other kinds of systems that were related, major companies. I'm pretty sure I heard that something in Ukraine there was a lot of things affected there. It affected hospitals, 911 calls, availabilities, and all of this other stuff. They said that it was not a global hack, but in fact it was. This is part of this occurrence, is that the news and what you could get and could not get and what was real or not also was very evident. And it's very easy to see also that the news systems, how their ineffectuality is being presented, or that they're not presenting the truth clearly, or not at all in many cases, or some cases. And that happened also with factors that were like weather reports, or, well, in the local case, people were not able to pay with credit cards. And so we had a funny experience. It wasn't myself, but it had something to do with getting some cash money on the same day, at the same time, while they were traveling, friends of mine, and they could pay for gas with cash. And so they had no problem, were no worries. But there's a large number of people that this could have been, that did affect. I don't know, the extent of it is not being reported, that's for sure. At the same time, they might have over-exaggerated in some ways. So again, it's a very interesting condition where the people are taking what's authorized or authorized as normal, and in this case, then when it becomes not normal, there's a reaction. And the only thing I'm going to relate to that is also that concurrently this week, there was the so-called attempted, I don't even want to use the word because that would claim that the person involved was actually was worthy of assassination. I used the word. Because it was really just a shooting attempt, and there wasn't any political motive behind it, at least as far as we know, by this individual. Again, we're not getting the full picture of what's really going on, not even close. I'll relate this weather-wise within Oregon, that there's fires. Almost the whole state is on fire, and there's about 15 wildfires caused by lightning. Of course, all of this is caused by the oil business, and the other forms of weather control and etc. Supposedly to use to assist in global warming and actually counterproductive, working against it. So again, the real cause, and here we have a candidate who wants to promote the continuation and expansion of the oil industry, and etc., like that. But the whole thing can't be pointed fingers at any person or thing. It's all part of that engagement in the simulation that is the original, I guess, motivation for this description, so that people will become more aware without any agenda or point of view or factual, evidence, um, because it's not necessary. Gonna lose me? I'm thinking. No, okay, good. But great. 2:00, 11 o'clock your time. Thank you, Val. I think I got a pretty good one up there. So, Ron, you've got to go and do your investigations, interviews. No, I meant about the same thing that Val's description was talking about. I said we got to put we're doing questioning of the people involved in his story, in Kevin's story. That's what I'm joking about. We're doing questioning the witnesses.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm joking with you. You don't get it? Oh, nobody gets my jokes.
That's good, Peter. Peter, that's good when you go out there and you question the witnesses, because that's the fun part. That's very, very good. You're going to get a lot of different comments, so you see where people are at and what they're saying, and you can compare that comparatively to where eventually people start to see what they're actually saying, because they don't realize for the most part what they do think and say. So yeah, that's a big adventure too, Peter. There you are, the guy on the street. Ta-da.
More like the son on the street walking around, hoping somebody notices something, some light, or whatever terms you got. Yeah. I mean, it's like that. So I will say that I did something like that in New York, what I call Newark City, and I was standing next to the statue of Abe Lincoln, and I think I put the video on here. I might not have. I have a couple of short videos with this beautiful statue of Abe Lincoln across from the park, and you can stand there. I could have stood there all day if I wanted to. I had a American flag bag with a guitar in it, and I took some pictures. Actually, a person came along, and they had with their kids, a woman, and I said, "Could you take my picture?" I was standing here, and she said, "Well, yeah, I used to do professional photography at an ad agency or something like that, or a TV station. I don't know." So yeah, it was a perfect person to ask. She comes right along, and I then did a couple of videos with hold my camera up, and spoke with Abe and said, "Well, what do you think, Abe, about what's going on?" And made minute and a half. And I tried to interview people like that, questioning them, or I said, "Hey, do you know about this? Whatever." Just get their attention, and you'll find almost anywhere. It doesn't matter if you're in New York City or somewhere else. They're all going to want to move on and be going as fast as possible somewhere. They're all plugged into this high-speed electric current called the phone, And I don't think they recognize that programming model. That's where it's coming from, or being affected by currently. You know, the current high mode of operation. They want everyone on the phones, not TV, not computers, much less so. They want them on their phones and getting the news on the phones. My phone has it. I can't get it off. And I probably could. I got to figure it out. Maybe Ronald knows about that. I don't know. But my phone has these updates that they'll put on there. And, you know, giving me nothing about nothing for the most part. And, you know, that's it. But it's how they're formulating this survival mode. And for someone to be stopped and go, yeah, what's he talking about? What is this? Actually, another thing that happened, I had a sign. It said, I'm Pan Eagle Song, Star Rock, Sing New You, and one other phrase or quote or something, contact. And I had this sign with me the whole time. And I had it in Times Square. I had it in Grand Central Station. I had it at the park, where I was singing, wherever. And this one spot, I was about 7 o'clock at night, and there was, I had been at the park where this event was going to happen about 6 o'clock and daylight. And all these people were coming in, and there were guards saying you can't use the bathroom, or you can't go through the tunnel. They didn't want people going through the tunnel because I think they were going to set up this drone control at that spot. And what they were going to do is have a drone show, a light show in the city. And I didn't realize that's what was going on directly until I walked out to the place where John Lennon had been killed. It's called the Imagine Circle. And I stood there and I saw this huge amount of people coming in to the park. It probably was about 2,000 people passed by me in a very tight little passage. And I had my sign up. I stood in the light, and I started singing You, and I started singing my song Golden, or I just kind of held it up, and I made a short video, and I had all these people stop by. I talked with a few, or tried to get them to say, you know, but very, very few people stopped, of course, because it's huge. There's no space for them to go except for on this walkway. And they all were going down to the drone show. And then they had the drone show was like this 10-minute light show over New York. And it was, I'm kind of thinking back on it going, hey, I call these things that I'm doing atom bombs. And I'm getting the thunder in the over my house right now. How about that? Everything is all connected.